You sure you didn't want some tea? It's really nice to
Yeah.
hold stuff.
That's okay.
So first thing I wanted to do is start with your story.
Well, my name is Jocelyne. I live in Buchanan now.
Mhm.
I'm not from there. My boyfriend or fiance is from there.
How old are you?
I'll be 33 in June.
Oh, so we are almost exactly the same
Oh,
age.
really?
Yeah, because I'll be
Oh,
33 in August.
oh,
So,
what the heck?
back in
Cool.
kindergarten, you would have probably been like, I'm older than you by
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah. Yes. I did go to school for different things. And then that just didn't work out. Got laid off, and then all of a sudden I just saw a field of dandelions in a yard across the street from our house, and I was like, man, I probably can do something with those. Yeah, so I started researching about dandelions. I'm like, man, these plants are amazing. You can actually use the whole flower
Yeah.
and do all kinds of stuff with them, and they're so good for you and the soil and like just the environment in general.
Just an annoying weed.
Right, yeah. So I was like, oh, I got to get this out to the world. or at least like make these products and share and help people in that way and learn how to make skin, because a lot of it's skincare that I make.
How did you find building that business?
It was hard at first because a lot of people they weren't really into the natural skincare stuff yet.
Right.
And also the side of like dandelions, well, why would I use those on my body? Before I had my son, I went to the daycare here in town. They invited me.
Okay.
And I brought some Play-Doh, like dandelion Play-Doh, and
cool.
dandelion, I guess, lemonade for them to try, and jelly. They didn't really like the lemonade because I only made it with honey and it wasn't like sugar. Yeah. But I liked it. But yeah, so I went there and I read them a dandelion book that I found at the library, and I talked to them about dandelion. It was really cool. It was really fun, actually. There was lots of kids and they were pretty interested. Side note, for me wanting to save the environment or whatever, like all my stuff's in glass, right? So like I use as much little plastic as I can. So and that's the beauty of owning your own business. You can do whatever you like.
So your passion goes a little bit deeper than just like business. It's like it's more about highlighting the beauty and awareness of something that people might typically throw away or not think of as important.
That's exactly it. And like it's hard because I'm like so passionate about it. So then when people don't see that, it's kind of frustrating.
What is your number one favorite thing that you have found for it to do? And then what would you say like people have told you the most commonly has been something that they've benefited from it?
So I think for me, like I use the soap a lot, like my hand soap. I make a lot of skincare, so because dandelions are high, they have tons of vitamins, minerals, but also anti-inflammatory compounds, and that's a big thing, especially for on the skin. Helps reduce like dry skin, itchy skin, all those inflammatory things.
If I say I'm doing reflexology on someone and they're struggling with edema in their feet and there's like a lot of swelling and different things like that, and I use that as a lotion for the massage afterwards, would that be something that would be beneficial?
You could definitely try it, yeah. So like I have some people using like the salve, let's say, for even sore muscles and joints. Or like pain even. And again, I tell people I don't guarantee it's going to work the same for everybody,
because everyone's different.
Yes,
I understand that
exactly. So I mean, definitely you can give it a try. Like I have different lotions or creams or whatever that you could use, and it might help for sure. Yeah.
Do you have a common kind of like thing that people will say the most that they like about the products?
Yeah, well, it's mostly for skin, like dry skin. A lot of people say they use it for like the wrinkles on their face or whatever, or like itchy skin. They'll use it on that a lot. Like if you get a bug bite, they'll put it on like a mosquito bite in the summer, and it gets rid of the itchiness. Yeah.
What's your most popular product then?
I would say the hand soap for sure. Yeah, that one goes quick. Like it's made with dandelion oil that I make, and then I render my own tallow. So that's in the base, and then it's yellow on top and then green, which kind of like represents a dandelion, and then the yellow. But everything's natural ingredients and or organic. The yellow is yellow Brazilian clay, which is super good for your skin, and then the bottom has a liquid chlorophyll, which is what makes it green, and then dandelion leaves too, and dandelion petals on the top actually. And again, that is really good for your skin. So yeah, just all the stuff combined, and yeah, people just love it. They'll buy like 4 to 6 bars at a time. Like I have a lot of farmers using it for their dry hands and like just being able to clean their hands better.
So it cleans well without drying them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I would say that's a big one. Magnesium lotion is another one. If you have restless legs or cramps or aches, people use it for.
A lot of people do struggle with that.
Yeah. The salve, like that's been my like staple.
And what do people use that for?
That's like the most versatile. You use it wherever on your skin. Everything else, like like I said, mosquito bites. You can put it after a burn, sunburn, like burning, if you burn yourself on the stove or something. Skin, people have used it for like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, things like that. And even like dog paws if they're dry, you know, like things like that, dry skin. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try to use all my products. I have deodorant and I use that. I actually, that's probably something I use every day.
What is your absolute favorite thing about the dandelion?
My favorite thing about it? Yeah. I think it's just how versatile the actual, like just the plant is itself. That I love nature. So I think, just the uses that I or anybody can get out of it, but also how it can help the environment, like in the soil. So for example, it adds calcium to the soil, it neutralizes the soil, and usually they'll grow where the soil needs help. I think that's my favorite part, actually, because people, they don't like dandelions, right?
Yeah, so they do everything to get rid of those things.
Exactly, and they grow everywhere. So, and I tell people, like, it's because the soil needs help there. Everywhere.
What a different way of looking at that, because like, you're right. But like that could be such a metaphor for life, even like how often we look at things as like a pesky, annoying thing when it's literally just trying to fix and heal a problem. And we're just trying to get rid of the like symptoms, like looks messy.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's really cool. So then, how did you make that transition? Like, because German
medicine? Yeah, German
like
medicine.
The country?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, what made that shift for you? Was it a journey into that, or was it just all something that came up and it was just like new?
Well, that's where I'm like, that's where I want to like tell my story to the world. And not that everybody has the same story, but they probably went through things like similar, or like, as kind of what I did, because you try all the things to help get rid of your symptoms and nothing's working or nothing works as
it's a common
what I mean.
And I see that a lot with reflexology. People are usually coming to me because they've already tried a million things.
So basically in 2018 I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and in my mind I'm like, no, I'm not taking medication. I'm not, because I have family members that are also have symptoms, those and the diagnosis actually, and I've seen them, like they've taken so many different medications, like all the ones that they've had on the market, I guess, basically for it, and nothing really worked and helped. So it like things would get better and then whatever. Like, again, I love nature, and I just had this like I don't want to take medication, like that's not what I want to do, because and I knew deep down that my body can heal itself, and I also knew
100% believe that.
Right?
Our bodies are always like, they're always trying to heal themselves. So if that's not happening, something's
and like nature prevails. Like it's always gonna win over anything. Just from what I've like learned and seen throughout this and then even dandelions. So with that diagnosis, of course, I'm frustrated, I'm scared, I'm confused, I'm like, I feel alone. I'm doing all this research about it, and then all the books say like, oh, you have to take out these foods from your diet, and that'll maybe help, but they don't know what the cause is, they don't know what a cure is, all the things, right? And so you're like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I did take medication for like a week, and I actually felt worse. Like I had more symptoms. It was just like I felt terrible. I lost so much weight, and it was just not good. So I stopped that. I actually don't recommend that to anybody to just stop medication like that. But I mean, for me, it was only a week. I listened to my body.
Do what your doctor says. But like,
and I think that's really where my journey began. Like, because I didn't start my dandelion stuff till after. Yes, this is before like the diagnosis and everything. That's kind of where everything kind of started. Like where I was like, okay, let's figure this out. And there's more to life than just like going with what society does. Exactly. So I was doing research. I was seeing a naturopath, and again, like everything that I'm gonna name, I'm not like against any of it. It's just I tried it and nothing really worked, right?
This is your story.
Like it didn't 100% work. So I was seeing a naturopath, and I was taking homeopathic remedies or whatever, like supplements or vitamins or anything that he told me that I would need. And I loved going to see the naturopath because it was like not invasive, and you were getting info about your body, and it was so good. And then I did, like, he did this Carol, it was called the Carol testing, where he poked your ear for a blood sample, and then he would test it to see what your sensitivity is. It's not an allergy, and it's not a sensitivity, it's an intolerance. So now that I know what German medicine is, that totally doesn't matter. Like those three things are all the same thing. So I learned what my intolerance was, and it was eggs, and I was eating eggs like every day. I was eating 4 eggs a day because I was doing the keto diet, or like I was doing certain diets. So it was an elimination diet, and then taking stuff out and figuring out what was causing the flare-ups. And So, but it was hard because, you know, you're taking all this food out. You can't really go to people's houses because they're like, oh, well, what can you not eat? And it's like basically everything. And, you know,
your life really feels kind of hindered, like stuck for a minute. Cause
well, yeah. So it was hard. And like, and then you felt like you're just a burden. Like you go to the restaurant or any restaurant and like, you know, you can't really, like, you can say, okay, don't put this or this or this or this on the plate that I want. And that's like the closest you can get to like whatever diet you're doing. And it was hard and it was frustrating because I would sit there and be like, well, why do I have this issue? And like other people that eat terrible food, because they say it could be food, they say it could be environment, they say it could be hereditary. They don't know.
There's so many things.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, how can all these people eat this terrible food and not get symptoms like me? You know?
Yeah.
So like, this doesn't make sense. And so it was frustrating. It was like, it was hard. I felt like I was alone, you know? Yeah. So then I was open to everything, like trying all the alternative medicine, like whatever I could try. So I was doing self Reiki. I learned how to, like, I went to see somebody for Reiki. I learned how to do self Reiki, like I said. Yeah, I was consistently seeing the naturopath, but it was getting expensive too. That was the other thing. I actually, at one point, once the whole COVID thing like hit, you weren't going to see a doctor or nothing because it was like you couldn't like interact with people, right, you know, be close. So they were doing phone calls. So, and then finally I was like, just take me off your list because it was causing me so much anxiety that I was like, this is like almost worse than actually just occasionally having symptoms. Exactly. Like I tried the Ayurveda diet. You know, there's all these different things, all these different diets, all these different like.
And that can be overwhelming in a sense too.
Yes. So then that's kind of where the skincare, like the natural, you know, thing came in for the dandelions. So that's kind of how that came into play too. But then I went to a women's festival here. There was a woman there and she was talking about German medicine. And I went to the presentation and she talked about the 5 biological laws that Dr. Hammer discovered. This is the man that discovered.
What was his name?
Dr. Hammer, Dr. Reich Gerd Hammer. Yeah, so I went to her presentation and I didn't really like take anything in. Like I listened, I was like, oh yeah, this could help me. But then again, in my mind, I was like, oh, just another thing, you know?
Yeah.
Another thing to try or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of let it go for a bit. And then when I got pregnant with my son, I was still having some like gut, so Crohn's disease is like with your gut. Right, basically. Yeah. I don't know if you knew that, but
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and similar to colitis or diverticulitis, I guess. German medicine world, it's all the same thing. It's all like, it's your, yeah.
So they don't really separate it into like these different kinds of diseases. It's just like this system of your body's not working.
Right. Yeah. Well, it is working. That's where it's like, okay, this makes me feel a lot better. So once you learn it, it's like, whoa.
From what I'm learning about you, of like the way you saw a dandelion, you're like, oh, it's a weed, but you're like, no, it's fixing the ground.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. I never thought about it that way, but yeah, I guess I'm looking at this. Yeah. So anyways, so yeah, I kind of put that aside for a bit. And then when I got pregnant with my son, my symptoms went away. Like I didn't really have, like I was feeling great. Like, yeah, when I got pregnant, I think it was like a month before I had him, my symptoms were like gone. I was like, oh, okay. And but the thing is, like, I didn't do anything. Like I wasn't doing a thing. I didn't change I was eating anything I wanted to, whatever was good.
Interesting.
You know, and I was like, well, what is going on here? Like, what did I didn't do anything. What did I do? But I didn't do anything, you know? So then I was like, oh, this is odd. So then I had my son, and then for like 5 months, I had no symptoms, like none of those gut symptoms. And then they came back, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Like, what happened? What did I do? I'm still eating the same foods. Yes, like I have a son now, but it's been 5 months, and like I feel like right at the beginning, like it's hard, you know, it's your first kid, you're getting used to all that. Yeah. So then I got back into it, and I really started researching and learning about specifically like the gut stuff for my health. Yeah, that's where I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with the world because.
So did you find answers?
Oh yes, of course I did. Yeah. Okay. So now, like, okay, I'll admit, like, I still have the occasional symptom, but I'm not. First of all, like, we're human. We're gonna have symptoms. We can't, like, even having this knowledge in our lives, like, it's not gonna mask us from having symptoms.
No.
Like, we're here to live, and that's how.
And when we get symptoms, it's literally just a signal.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
I don't know. First, tell me, like, what were like the pain points for you? So, like, what were your symptoms? What were the things that you were struggling with? And then what are the answers that you find that were like, oh my goodness, that's what this is, and this is how this correlates into what I'm, you know.
My symptoms were basically like, some people might be too much to share, whatever, I don't care.
No,
it's whatever, right? Like it's just I was just going to the bathroom way too much, and it was mostly diarrhea or like loose stools, whatever, because that's kind of what comes with Crohn's. It's either constipation, as they look at it, it's constipation, or you're in the bathroom or whatever, you know, or you have cramping, like it hurts, whatever. That was basically my, like, I didn't have any like bleeding or nothing like to that extent. Yeah, so those are my symptoms. And you know, I was tired, and like,
did you ever get any like pain in your stomach?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was times where I would like, I remember being, I think me and my fiance, we were at a concert, and I just remember like, I loved the concert, but I wasn't really enjoying it because I would like get this pain where I had to run to the washroom, and it's like, it gets frustrating because it's like, well, you want to just enjoy your concert. You're always like wondering where the next bathroom is. Like if you're on a trip or something, you're like, hey, where's the bathroom? Just in case. Yeah. Which is like, you don't want to live your life like that, right?
No, because it does. It controls an aspect of your life. It's like you're not free to just be present.
Just and you're not worrying about like, you're worrying about where the bathroom is, and you're worrying about, oh, am I gonna like, you know, need another pair of pants? Like, you know, I never got to that point, but like, I'm sure there could have been times like that, you know, right? Yeah. So basically, like, I don't really want to get into the whole thing because it's pretty long, because there's 5 biological laws in German medicine that Dr. Hammer discovered. I don't want to say it's complicated, but there's a lot of details to know with this whole and you've done a bunch lens of it in general.
So you have like a whole bunch
of but
if you're condensing it for like the general
I will,
public.
I will condense it as much as I can. So as soon as there's an exception to a law, then it becomes a theory. You know, if you're a smoker, you're going to get lung cancer. Well, no, that's not the case, because I know smokers, they don't have lung, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's those are theories, those are exceptions. He studied, and he was working with, because he was actually an oncologist, so he was working with cancer patients, doing the research, and he wouldn't confirm anything till he could, like, he wouldn't officially say like, okay, this is it, until he studied it and figured like the results were like 100%, like he had 100 people confirm it, you know what I mean?
Like yes, results for 100
it had
different people.
At least 100 people, at least. So yeah, so that's what he did. He had to make sure. So with these laws, that's what they're laws, because they're like, okay, he studied it, he worked with all these people, like thousands of people, and confirmed it time and time again, like all these different laws.
He found a consistency.
Yeah, he sure did. So, and this was in the 80s, so not long ago, in Germany. So yeah, the first law is it's the cause of what we call disease. Basically, it's our biology is what we're going to look at, is our biology. So the first law is the cause of, you know, if we get sick or have a disease, what has to happen is there's 3 things. You have to go through a shocking experience that catches you off guard, where you feel alone or isolated. So where you feel like you can't share with people. And the thing is, it's very subjective. So like the way you see something, and we go through the same situation, but we don't see it the same. We might not, our body's not going to respond the same. It could be as small
as someone making a comment for someone, and then it could be something as big as like someone dying for another person. Like everyone just processes it differently.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So that's the first law. It's basically, it's like a lightning bolt to your biology, to your there's like a library in our subconscious. There's called special biological programs. As soon as we get hit with a situation, then it initiates a program, and this is based on, and I think you probably would align with this with your reflexology, is our emotions. So the reason why he discovered all of this and started studying this was because his son, so whatever, he got shot in the leg. He had like, I can't remember how many surgeries, like it was 19 surgeries. Then his leg was amputated, and then he passed away. And Dr. Hammer and his wife, they both, all of a sudden, he had testicular cancer, she had ovarian cancer after this shocking event. And he's like, you know, I have to look into this. Like, I was doing all the right things, like being healthy, and you know. So he looked into it, and he's like, there's got to be something, it has to be linked to my son, like in his death. And then one night he had a dream, and his son came to him, and he was like, yeah, keep going with this, like you're on the right track. So, and he kept like interviewing his patients that he had, like the cancer patients, and every single time, like 100% of them all said that they went through a shocking experience before their diagnosis. What I'm trying to say is the emotion that he had, and the reason why they had those types of cancers. You have to think of the purpose of the organ.
Yes.
What do the ovaries do? What do the testicles do? Reproduce. That is the whole purpose of them. Okay. So what happened was they had the conflict at play here that they went through, the shocking situation where they were caught off guard, where they felt alone, isolated. It was a one-time thing. Was they lost their son. Okay.
Right.
So this conflict linked to those 2 organs is called a profound loss conflict, is what he discovered. When your body is just trying to help you survive, getting through these conflicts.
So this sounds a lot like the whole nervous system stuff that I've been studying.
Yeah.
So
Number
1 is conflict.
So number 1 is like the cause of the disease. Like, what is causing this? What is going on here? Like, how does it?
Point, that lightning moment that happens.
So it's those 3 criteria.
Triggers in your, I would say, nervous system. You're saying
it opens that library in your subconscious, and it's like, okay, let's get you.
And let's get you by emotions.
Yes. So, but depending on what you feel in that moment, that specific one time, like, could be a millisecond of a moment in that situation. That's what's gonna, like, it's gonna decide which organ to activate based on your emotions, so how you were feeling. So they felt like they lost somebody very close to them, so that triggered those organs to go into survival mode, is what we would say.
The second one.
Okay, so number 2, we'll go to number 2 because that's really good. So we go through there's a 2-phase pattern. So we go through this conflict shock. Now you're in conflict activity. So what this means is your body's trying to find a solution to your problem, to try to help you survive through this situation. So there are typically no symptoms at this point in the program that you're running, besides the fact that you probably will wake up at night. So when people say they have insomnia, it's actually because they're conflict active with something. So if you're tired, that's coming from probably your adrenals, or it could be the healing phase, but we'll get into that. That's a part of the second law here. So there's different things, but so when I talk with people and they need, just some guidance, the first thing I say is like, what is your symptom? Because they'll say, oh, I have this diagnosis, but I don't know what their symptom is. So I can't work with that, because it's like,
so what is their body telling you?
Basically. And then I think that too is helping them be like, okay, I can listen to my body more. It's so important to go through the symptoms. It's like
your body is literally trying to tell you
exactly,
and give you messages and signals and hints the whole time.
Because that's what it's in. And again, it's linked to your emotion that you had at this shocking experience. Your body feels safe again. It knows you're okay. Because it's all about survival, basically.
That's a survival way.
So then you're in the healing phase, and there's 2 parts to the healing phase. So there's healing phase A and then B. Now this is where you're going to see the symptoms. This is where you're going to see, like, you're going to have, let's say, a runny nose. You might see a lump somewhere. You might have a sore joint. That's when we're going to see the symptoms. Like I said, there's not really a lot of symptoms in the first part, in the conflict active phase. It's all just.
So this is 2 parts to number 2.
Number 2 is there's a 2-phase pattern to these programs.
Number 1 is kind of like the activation.
How does it start?
Kind of like, okay, we're in this mode, and the first part of it is the conflict part,
trying to find the solution.
And then the second part is either
you're healing. You are healing. We'll just stay there. Okay. You are healing. Once you find your solution, now you're healing. And along with the symptoms, this is where you're going to feel tired, because now your body is like, okay, I can relax now. Because like I said, when you're in the conflict active phase, you're not going to sleep, because you're going to wake up in the middle of the night. You're like, okay, I got to find a solution. That's what's going on. Your brain's like, okay, let's find a solution.
That's
your extremities are cold too. That was so interesting. So Dr. Hammer, like, when he would meet with patients, he would shake their hand. Yes. So if he shook their hand and their hand was cold, I know my hands are cold now, but it's like, if they were cold, that means he could tell that they were in the conflict active phase. Okay, because you're focusing on the inside, you're going inward. So like your body's not worrying about feet and hands.
I'm a very inward person, so maybe that's why.
Maybe, I never.
Everything's always so much here.
Like our bodies are always evolving. Our biology is so vast.
I mean, I love what you're describing so far, because for me, it's like a fresh perspective of how I see things. Like, there was this person that came to me, and one of their biggest issues that they were so frustrated with is that they couldn't lose weight, and they were super swollen. And they kept saying, like, I don't eat a lot, I'm doing all these things, like, I don't understand why it's holding on. And as I was working with them, I just felt like my intuition, that everything in the body that I was like watching, and the struggles, like holding on to weight and water for no apparent reason, I said, do you feel like you're the person that has to hold everything together? Your body and I may be wrong, like, take it as you want, but from what I'm seeing with you, your body is literally doing that. It's holding it all together for you, not against you. Because you're like looking at your swelling legs and stuff and being like, oh, why don't I have nice legs like everyone? But your body's just trying to help you. It's like, it's literally receiving this message that we have to hold everything together. And so it's literally holding on to all your weight and onto your water. So I'm really curious to see how that might play into, like,
well, do you want I can share what that means, actually, because you were like, I love that your intuition, like, it pretty much that is the program. And I'll explain why, like, what that specific program is that she has running, most likely, if it's water retention, especially. And I mean weight too. So that would be, you're right. It is based on, like, she probably is holding it all together. It's based on all these laws are based on our evolution. Okay. So this was from the first point in our evolution when we were living in water. But this is the story that, like, this is what he discovered. So we were ring forms living in water. Our main purpose was survival, like reproduction, eating, and breathing, or whatever, living in the water. Okay. So if you got washed up to shore, let's say by accident, the program that you would start running, you're trying to survive, is it would be based on your kidney collecting tubules. What they do is water retention. Okay. Right. So it's holding in water for you so that you don't die. Okay. Right. So that's just a picture of, like, based on the evolution side of things and, like, why it happens this way. But it actually is based on, so if you went that shocking experience that you went through, there's an acronym, it's AIR, I guess you can say. So if you felt abandoned, if you felt isolated, so maybe that's where she's coming in, this is coming in for her, where you felt like a refugee, so you got washed away from your, or, like, you know, up from your home, and then the other one is that you feel like your existence is at stake. Okay. So those are the like 4 different things that you could be feeling where your body's going to retain water, because it's thinking, okay, I got to help them survive, so we're going to retain water. And basically it's going to be in your abdomen area, and then I think it was the other part was like your legs. So what happens is the water is retaining your fat tissue. And it's so sad because, you know, you see people that are overweight and people think right away, like, oh, they eat terribly or they don't exercise, all that stuff, right? Right. But it actually is not that. And it's sad because it's all due to kind of disconnection from other people. Right. You know, you're feeling like disconnected, isolated, abandoned. You could feel like left out, you know, things like that. So maybe, you know, something happened where that happened to her, and and she's still holding on to this water because she hasn't resolved her conflict yet. So when she does, she'll pee it out.
What would you say that the solution would be? Like, where would she begin on solving that conflict?
Some people just learning about that, it just clicks for them, and then right away it's just they're that's it.
This is where I'm curious to watch the progression of how this works, because just that awareness. And I said the same thing too, because I find that with reflexology, I've actually seen people just literally sit in my chair. I'll do a session and they're like carrying such a heavy, and then they just like kind of offload, and then it's just gone. They didn't even have to sit and process the emotions and think it all through. They literally, it just released just by that.
That's exactly like realizing, like, they're aware, they're like, oh my gosh, this is what happened to me. And it's like, kind of like, it's kind of like telling their subconscious, I'm okay, I'm safe. You don't have to do this survival mode anymore for me. You don't have to run this program. They're not physically telling it, but they're thinking it. I mean, look what happened with me. All of a sudden my symptoms were gone and I didn't do anything. Right. And I think that's what happened, is I just let go of whatever I wanted to take into myself that I couldn't. So it could have been sleep. It could have been anything. Literally, you could just become aware and of whatever situation, you like ask her, okay, when did these symptoms come? Like, when did you find this weight gain came in, or this water retention? The other thing that it could potentially be, like, it could be a self-devaluation conflict. Based on our evolution, when we went from water to land, you got to protect your organs, the inner organs, and then we built the skin. And then the third form of evolution is we have to move now. So it's based on our capabilities or ability, muscles, ligaments, tendons, bones, fat tissue, lymph system, like all that stuff that helps us move. So that is a self-devaluation conflict because it's based on our performance. So the conflict could be like I was playing soccer and I couldn't get the ball into the net. So you're hard on yourself, and then all of a sudden you have something going on with your foot because you missed the net or something, you know, and you're really hard on yourself. So that's what that conflict is. So somebody could be like, oh, you're fat or something. Like, it could be anything. It just depends how you take it. Right. And that could initiate this program where, okay, so now you're building this extra fat tissue. In the conflict active phase, you have cell loss in the conflict active phase, and then cell regrowth in the healing phase. But just to understand a little bit, when they go to heal, they're going to have more tissues there, and the purpose is done at the end. Resolve their conflict. Okay, yeah, I'm actually really good at soccer. You know, now your body's going to heal. So you've got more fat now. But it's there because it's there to protect you for next time in case you go through something similar. So your body is so smart. If it was a KCT like the other one we were talking about, the water retention, that one you have to just, like, I think you just have to realize, like, what happened to me, work through that, and then you pee it out. Like physically, that's what happens through the phases. Those are my 2 thoughts, like 2 potential things that she probably is going through. If it's water retention, then yeah, definitely the other one, the first one.
This is something in my own personal life recently that I've been going through. Is like I've gone through a lot of different trauma stuff and working through emotions and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this past, like, I'd say about December or so, that was my body started to really shed the attachment, the outside things that I used to keep to make me feel safe, and really starting to build my own kind of sovereignty. But interestingly, I started gaining weight. Like I put on 5 pounds, 10 pounds ish. And it just wouldn't leave. And I didn't feel bad about it, but I was just kind of like, what is going on? Like, I'm not really doing anything. But I felt it was almost like my nervous system, because it felt like it didn't have that anxiety or whatever. It felt like this extra padding almost, or this extra security. Like, we're good, we're finished, and it's like happy with this. But I'm just a little bit like, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, it definitely catches you off guard with this. But so that sounds like the self-evaluation part of it, maybe like that conflict, because unless you think it's water retention.
No, it's definitely not water retention.
Because the way you're describing it sounds like it would be like the self-evaluation within like the fat tissue. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, like why did I gain this weight? That too can like, how do I say that? Like it's like a loop. It'll keep going through the cycle of that conflict, like that program that's running. So it'll create more fat tissue. You know what I mean? It's like a reminder, like if I talk about like pimples and people look in the mirror and they're like, oh my gosh, I have a pimple. Well, that's an attack conflict or feeling soiled. So every time they look in the mirror and see that they have a pimple, they're like, oh my God, exactly. It's reminding them. And then it's like telling your body, oh, I'm not actually safe. So keep helping me. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why it hasn't like fully.
Interesting.
You know,
like I don't feel it's a bad thing. I've definitely in the past I have had weight issues, like when I was younger, because different things with that. But then since the last like little bit after I had my daughter, it really healed a lot of the stuff from there. But it does feel interesting to me now, because I'm trying to, I guess like what you're saying is like looking at my body, like, what are you trying to tell me? And what is this about? I do keep it from like getting negative of being like, why are you getting fat? It's more like, what is it that you're trying to tell me? Why do you feel comfortable here? Yeah.
And that's good that you're curious too. Like that's like so important in all this.
I'm
yeah. That's what I tell people. Like you just have to keep observing every time you feel like you maybe gained weight or whatever. Always think about what happened before. What were you thinking before? What happened beforehand that made it happen, obviously, right?
I know this sounds silly, but I almost feel like my body feels like it's more solid. And so it's literally becoming more solid.
And that's okay. Like I said, the purpose of that program, anything with self-evaluation, with, like I said, the fat, the tissue, like the purpose happens at the end. So it's literally to make your bones stronger. Man, that's okay. Like, I mean, as long as you're okay with it, like to me, like it sounds
honestly,
like you
I'm pretty good.
You are becoming strong. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, is you're becoming stronger for next time if you went through whatever.
So like maybe part of it was that I felt frail. Maybe I felt
maybe
I felt vulnerable. I did. I always felt emotionally so vulnerable to my surroundings, and maybe this is the way my body's feeling like secure. When I see the number, my ego's kind of like annoyed, but then in the mirror I look at myself and I'm like, I look fine. In fact, I probably have never looked better. Like that's how I feel about, and I don't know if that's just because I love myself a lot more and I'm a lot kinder. But at the same time, I'm not looking and being like, this is a flaw. It's weird.
That's the biggest thing, is like I have like 3 things to say about that. There's 3 things that make symptoms or whatever worse: fear, relatives, and doctors.
Relatives as in like family?
Yep. Oh yes, because they'll sit there and be like, oh, you have to do this. So, but fear is a big one. Fear, and it makes sense. It makes everything worse in any situation. You know, when you're giving birth, you know, everything. So you get more tense. You can't heal. Okay, think about this though. So if we go to our like primal days, like where there's just animals in the wild, they didn't have scales and they didn't have mirrors. Okay, so that's the other thing I like to tell people, because it's like, but I feel like those 2 will continue that loop of like, oh, why am I getting weight? Oh, you know, it's great that you look and you're like, oh, I look great. You know, that's wonderful. But some people don't, right? And the other thing is like when you felt like you were like not weak, but like, you know, you needed vulnerable. More. That could be along the lines of like self-evaluation, which I didn't really explain. Like that just means when you're hard on yourself. Or anything like I used to be, I'm not good enough or whatever, right? So
that was like a big thing that I overcame this last year, was this narrative of I'm not enough.
Right. So that could tie into it for sure.
These are things that every single person deals with on some level. So whether they do German medicine, whether they do reflexology and nervous system work, whatever it is, it's like you're finding the thing that fits for you to understand the program. Exactly. But it's a program, and everyone is operating in the same body program.
Exactly. Yeah. I now understand that my body's telling me something, and there's a reason why it's doing certain things at certain times, and you know, all that. Right.
Well, and that's what I love about hearing your stuff, and even that I want to share in this environment, is that this is the thing that clicks for you, and that's going to resonate with someone else too.
Yeah.
Because again, this is your key to unlock that system. Yeah. And many people have different ways of doing that, but this is why it's so important to talk about it. Yes. Is because this might be really making sense to someone.
Yes. And that's what I want to do. I just want to share. Like, you sound like you're very intuitive. Like, you kind of, like, you already kind of said to that person, like, oh, maybe it's this.
Yeah. You know? So going back, we finished the first two kind of.
Yes. So the third is basically about our evolution, like I talked about. We had there's 4 different phases of our evolution, of our human body, consciousness, and everything like that. So there's 4 stages, 4 forms of evolution, 4 different like parts of our brain that formed throughout each of those times, and 4 germ layers, and he color coded them. So there's the endoderm, that's yellow, the old mesoderm, the new mesoderm, those are orange, and then the ectoderm, and that's red. This is kind of back to law number 1, but your brain controls your organ, right? We know that, but it also is linked to your psyche, which this is kind of where all this is coming in, like your subconscious. So it's based on our evolution. So then we go through 4 phases of evolution. Like I said, we lived in water first, and then we moved to land. We needed protection for those vital organs. So that was the main theme there. So that's where we grew our dermis, like first layer of skin. So the conflict mostly related to that would be the attack conflict, because you want to protect yourself from the wind, or like if sticks were flying or rocks or whatever, just yeah. And then you would go into, so that's where you'd see like pimples and stuff like that. Like skin things, but with like pus. And then you would go into, okay, we got to move now, like I said. So that's the next form. That's when like our legs, our limbs, everything, all of our system to help us move around. So where our ability came into like walk, whatever. Basically, like I said, self-evaluation, when you're hard on yourself because of your ability or capability. And then the last and final form of evolution that we went through, that he found, but this is the biggest part of our brain, that the biggest mass, it's most complex, all about communication now, about our territory, socializing,
so
identity, yep, all that kind of stuff. So that's where things get more complicated.
If you were to be, say, working with a client, if someone came to you saying, okay, I want help in this, these are all the things that you would be going into more specifically with the person. If people wanted to, they could really go into depth.
Yes, oh, for sure.
Where and kind of working.
Because it's definitely important to understand all this, especially if they want to like look through this lens and understand what their body's telling them, because it's hard to like be like, oh yeah, you're healing, you're good. Yeah, I would definitely have to go through all these laws for one, or at least the first 4. The 5th one is simple, but I would just say, okay, what's your symptom? And then we would work with that. What's the symptom? Okay, well, that means that's that organ. And then I would go, okay, this is this form of evolution. This is what's controlling, like this is the part of the brain that's controlling it. So this is most likely, okay, what's the survival mode that you're in? Like what, is it protection? Is it your ability to move? Is it, or is it social, whatever, all that other stuff I said, communication and identity, is it related to that? The other thing too, to heal is like to figure out what your initial conflict was. But that's hard sometimes, because it could be like 10 years ago. It could be 5 years ago. Even a year ago is hard to remember what exactly happened.
Always that big thing.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it's
the
small thing.
It definitely is. And most of the time, it is not the big thing, because you will share with people the big thing. And then that'll break that isolation factor and that 3 criteria from the beginning I told you about, right? Because you're sharing with people. Oh, like let's say, okay, your house starts on fire. Of course, initially you'll be like, oh my gosh, like, and then something will activate. But you'll share with people now. Like you're probably going to say like, oh yeah, my house is on fire. I have to move or whatever.
But honestly, like the things that I've noticed that are more traumatic is just like someone said something to you.
Exactly.
And
you heard your mom say something
behind her back, and you're like, the things like that like devastate you emotionally are so much more traumatic than like the actual traumatic.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And like with the big ones, like I said, yes, initially you might activate a program.
Yes.
However, it won't be as intense because you've shared it. You've probably, like I said, tell people that your house is on fire, or told people that like you're gonna have a funeral for your family member that passed away, or whoever,
Which is why maybe people that have had like sexual abuse tend to be a little bit more traumatized, because it's something you do kind of keep quiet and you don't talk about. So like some sort of like traumatic thing that is taboo can be worse than something that's traumatic and like.
Look at the exactly. There was an expression I can't remember, but it's like literally look at the little things. Like it's not usually it's not the big things in life that are causing these intense programs for you.
It will come out though. People when I talk, because I'm always talking, and I find it doesn't take long before they start to open up, and it's always in our language. Like for instance, me not feeling worthy, like. that was the thing. So I'm always saying to people, like, what is the thing that goes over and over in your head? Like when you're being triggered, you're really angry, whatever. What's like that one thought or feeling? Because that is it. And then go back to like what makes you feel that way all the time, and you can kind of work backwards.
Yes. And see, I love this because that is part of the conflict active phase. When you wake up at night, you're thinking about something, you're ruminating. So what are those thoughts? Because that's part of it. Like if you're in a program running, as something's running and you're trying to figure out the solution, your subconscious is like, hey, how could I have done this differently or whatever. That is your, not your problem, but that is the situation that caused this.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're like that is exactly what is going on. And then once you figure it out, like you start to heal.
That makes sense. And that's actually funny because I had there's like another person I was working with, and they told me that they kept having this dream over and over, and they were just laughing about it, like it was just this, normal, we always have these dreams. But to me, I was like, that's very interesting because your subconscious is telling you something, like you're saying. So then you do wake up and you don't feel rested. It's because your body is like on that program trying to like either
that's exactly
it or like bring awareness to you, or maybe you're just replaying that emotion over and over of how you feel, and that's like how your brain makes sense of that.
And so I love that you brought that up because it's like that, I don't know, a lot of people think like they don't see the correlation between that and the issue that they're maybe having in their physical body, and it's that is like such an important key.
And if you can follow the pattern, you can understand what's happening and you can have freedom.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Well, and that's why I want to share this with people, because like it's given me freedom. Like, I'm eating whatever I want. Like, I still use my skincare, like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, like there's like physical things you can do,
and that's okay.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not as stressed out about it, Yeah.
Okay, well, to wrap it up, do you want to do the
fourth kid? Well, it's very the last two are super short. So the fourth one is just about microbes and how we coexist with them. They are not harmful. He basically discovered that there's nothing is contagious. So a lot of people might not like to hear this. A cold, again, that's a bucket diagnosis. So if you have a runny nose and then all of a sudden everybody else has a runny nose, well, that is just because they all kind of felt the same, sort of the similar way, because you went through the same situation, sort of ish.
No, I know.
A family,
that was one of the first things I learned when I was taking my reflexology courses. My instructor told me something that stuck with me forever, and basically it's that your body having a cold isn't that it's run down sick, it's that it's actually house cleaning. It's literally getting rid of all the stuff, the dead stuff, the buildup, the stress. So if you're actually in a healthy state, you can't get sick. There's nothing for it to clean up.
Well, that's exactly it. And then they say, well, how can it be contagious if you're healing? And so what happens in the conflict active phase is your nasal cavities are widening and then or ulcerating, whatever, there's tissue loss. And then when you go to heal, they, go back to normal, but there's tissue regrowth. And that's where you get the stuffy nose, the runny nose. Well, and then when you're peak of healing, we didn't really talk about that, but that's when you sneeze, where it's a scent or stink conflict. So you smell there's danger maybe, or you think, oh, this sucks, like this stinks, I'm annoyed, though that's the conflict that would come with that. So probably for a lot of little kids, if they're in school, probably feeling endangered, because they're like, oh, they took my toy, I don't know this kid, or like whatever, or I'm away from home.
So it's like a buildup of
and then they say, oh, well, the whole kindergarten class has a cold now. Well, they probably went through a similar situation, but with different thoughts.
Maybe that's why. Okay, this is like off the top of my head thought, but like maybe that's why colds are so quote unquote contagious, is because literally when we're around someone that has a cold, we think we're in danger. Literally, don't give me your
well, that's exactly it. That's just our conditioning. Kids are more vulnerable because they're so new to the world. Everything is so new to them, and like one of the criteria is being caught off guard. Okay, so anyways, microbes. That's the gist of it. Just like they're there, they're not there to harm us. So like I mentioned earlier, when there's cell regrowth or cell being taken down, depending on what form of evolution you're in and what tissue it is, those microbes or bacteria, they're actually there to help do that. They're there to like break down that extra tissue. So when you find a lump somewhere, they're actually going to be there to take it down eventually. Like if they say it's cancer, and they say, oh, this is causing it, it's actually not that bacteria or whatever. The bacteria is there to take all the extra cells down or to build it back up. They're there for a reason. So Dr. Hammer had this really good thing that he had in one of his books that I read. It was like, okay, there's a fire in somebody's house. There's a fire truck that goes to put the fire out. Like just because the fire truck's there, it doesn't mean they started the fire. So now we look at microbes that way. Just because the bacteria is present and you're looking at this through the microscope or you're studying it, just because it's there doesn't mean it caused the problem. And that's how we look at it. Like, okay, they're present, so they must be the issue. No. So anyways, he confirmed that it's not. And so then the fifth biological law, just quickly, it's called the quintessence. And it just basically means we are nature, we are part of nature, and nature is perfect. Basically, that it's very short.
That's very much along the lines of what I believe. I put in different words, but it's essentially the same idea. And like for me, because I am a Christian, so the thing that I believe is like God, but God is love, and all of us are made in love, and it's just that is what we're made out of. We're made to be operating this way. Yes. But then sometimes the survival system, the seeing that like, okay, if the two systems could stop fighting each other and just actually work in sync, then it would just be this perfect flow. Yes.
Like I said, if we stop worrying or being so fearful of our symptoms, we could literally just heal. When you bring in fear, that could cause other problems, other symptoms could pop up. And that's where they say like, this is spreading or whatever. No, it's actually like, well, your diagnosis made it so that I worried more and activated another program in my body. So that's where the metastasis comes in. But
like someone got a wrong diagnosis of cancer one time and died in 4 weeks because that's what he was told.
Exactly. So that's why he said doctors fear and relatives. That's where doctors come in. You go see a doctor, they tell you something, you freak out. That causes that one-time situation that activates something. So it's
very interesting. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap then of those 5 points.
Okay, really quick.
If you're to say, number 1.
So really quick is like, what is the cause of disease?
Cause of disease. And then number 2.
There's a 2-phase pattern. As soon as you activate, like you go through a shocking situation, it activates, and there's always a 2-phase pattern. You always go through this conflict active and then healing phase.
So the first part of it is conflict
active, you're trying to find a solution.
And then it's the trying to heal.
Yeah, and then you heal. Once you find a solution, you go to healing.
And that might look like the symptoms.
That is where you will find like the only symptoms you will see on that side of it is in the psyche, where you're ruminating. Like I said, you're up all night, you're not sleeping, you're tired, and maybe you're not hungry, and you're cold. Basically. Those are the symptoms. But like to do with the organ itself that is being activated and whatever, you're not going to see the symptoms till after. For most of the programs, there's like maybe a couple that you'll see, like hair falling out is conflict active of something.
From the conflict stage, what you're describing to me sounds very similar to like when we feel like we're stressed or anxious.
Yeah, exactly.
And quite often we're stressed and anxious because something did happen. Yeah, we're not really processing.
No, exactly. And stress is not the same thing as a program. It's that part. It's the conflict active phase. Okay. So that's a nuance. But number 3 is just our 4 stages of evolution and how he discovered or why our different organs do certain things, like why in the conflict active phases there's cell loss versus or cell growth versus in the healing phase where there's cell loss and regrowth too. So it just depends when we like what form of evolution, what organ it is.
Number 3 is basically what organ is controlling the area in which there is that conflict healing thing.
I don't know. Whatever organ's involved, that will tell you what form of evolution it was coming from. So it'll kind of help you decide, like determine what conflict you went through. It's the dermis or the epidermis, then it's this conflict versus this conflict. It's like know thy evolution, know thyself kind of thing. Right. You know what your evolution is, you're going to understand like why does this tissue do this in the conflict active phase versus the healing phase versus another tissue. So it's getting
to the root cause, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then number 4.
4 is just about microbes, how there's no contagion. Bacteria is in our body. We've lived with them forever, and they're there to help us.
It's that fire truck that didn't start the fire.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's short and simple. And then the 5th one is just we are nature. Nature is perfect. And intelligent and healing. Yes. Like you don't have to do anything to heal because you're already healing. You know what I mean? I
think that takes a lot of stress off of people. Yes. That's what they commonly say. It's like, well, what do I do? I just need to try harder.
No, you don't have to do it.
I have to do more. I have to do more. And that's what I keep telling them too. Is like, maybe it's not you doing more. Maybe it's actually just letting go of that pressure. And then just
and I want to add too, like this is so important to resolve your conflict fully. There's 2 things that you could possibly do. I mean, yes, become aware, but it's if you can laugh about it. Okay, if you can laugh about the situation, then your body knows, oh yeah, I'm totally fine. But like truly laugh about it. Like, oh yeah, haha. Like you could pretend to laugh about it, but you really know. The
body knows when you're faking.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And then the other one is if it can't happen again. So if like something's going on at home in your childhood home or something, and you move away or whatever, it can't happen again because whatever was going on there is going on there and you moved away, or, you know, something like that, or in your hometown, let's say, that might be a better example. So like some kids could have like, I don't know, childhood eczema or whatever they, you know, whatever they call whatever, for example. And yeah, all of a sudden they grow up and they don't have it anymore.
Well, the things that resolve it for me, humor, I guess, makes sense because it is like that sense of safety. You don't laugh when you're afraid.
Yep.
But for me, it's just like always reframing it. It's like because the thoughts you think create the emotions you feel, which creates your entire reality.
Exactly.
And so reframing what happened, it doesn't actually change the outside of what happened, but how you think about it matters the most.
Yes.
So if you saw yourself as a victim and something happened to you and it was terrible and whatever, if you're telling yourself that story, you're going to be stuck in that place.
Exactly. Yep.
But if you can realize, like, you can reframe it into a way that makes you feel positive emotion. So I guess like happy or for me, it's quite often love and compassion. That's where it helps me kind of close those conflicts. But yeah, it changes everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is great. I just, I want to share it with the world, and, you know, whoever gravitates towards it and wants to learn more, like,
so if people did want to get a hold of you, like if someone was like listening and like, wow, this is really cool and I want to, like, what is it that you actually offer with this?
So what I would offer, like, they can, you know, contact me. Like, I have an Instagram account. It's just my name, Jocelyne St-Jacques. And basically, you can contact me, see what, you know, we could talk a little about, like, what are your symptoms, what's going on. And if you feel like you resonate with what I've shared today and you really want to dive deeper and figure out your, you know, what the initial conflict might have been, or like to try to fully resolve the conflict you're in, I would do a session with you where we meet. I would get you to fill out like an intake form, just figure out like, hey, what are the symptoms, what's going on, how long, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, I could just tell you, okay, this is this sort of conflict, you know, maybe you can work on that alone, or we could dive right into it and get deeper. Like, you know, it'd be about an hour and a half, depends what it is, where we can talk about it. Because usually when you talk about it, it breaks that isolation and it helps you become aware, and of course then finish that healing. So that one would be more beneficial. But I mean, that's basically what I would offer, in person or online. In person is better, I think, but it's something that you could do together. But definitely I could do it online too. It's not that hard to do. And then that's pretty much what I would offer. And I do, like, occasionally, like, I've done just different sessions talking about the 5 biological laws in person, and, you know, people can learn about just that basically, and then they can dive in, and like there's different resources I guide them towards, and they can go on their own if they want. Or
thank you very much.
Thank you.